Greetings. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks, Sr., your host, and this is Community Focus. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking with two outstanding employees in the city of Waukegan, Mr. Edward Kindle, who's a community naturalist, and his wife, Ann Kindle, a retired District 60 employee. We are going to be talking about a topic that's nationwide. I think it got nationwide notoriety in Flint, Michigan, and we didn't have any idea, but the same subject will be highlighted right here in the city of Waukegan as well as other places. So we're going to be discussing the lead in water. Because of faulty plumbing, and then we're just gonna let it flow. Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. Kendall.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lake County is approximately 750,000 people, but I don't know how many up at 5 o'clock this Sunday morning listen to this program. But call a neighbor. To tune in, and if you have not been listening, we're every Sunday morning at 5 a.m. Mr. Kendall, we'll start with you. Tell our listening audience a little bit about your personal and professional background and how you got involved in, about this topic of lead in water and the pipes in the district.
Yes, I have no real professional background. I'm sort of what you would consider sort of a jack-of-all trade, and
Okay.
as you stated prior, that I am a naturalist.
Okay.
I try to deal with things in its natural form, and you can't get no natural than what is real.
Okay.
And so it started back in May of 14 when Ann Kindle became ill in the school district. I was called by the nurse from Abbott Middle School to come and to be with Ann while she went to the emergency room
Okay.
from being exposed to a neglected grease trap. An unauthorized person opened up the grease trap. And so while being there, now mind you, this is in May of 14.
Okay.
Mind you, while being there, I had to take a medication. So I saw a drinking fountain down the hall, so I proceeded and go down to the water fountain to take a drink and take a pill. And when I tasted the water, it was rancid, it was hard, words cannot describe how horrible this water tasted, but I was committed once I had the pill in my mouth to be able to, to drink it, to force it down.
Okay.
And so after this first incident happened, Ann and I were talking about this incident. And so I had mentioned to her that I had drank from a water fountain.
Okay.
It was unbeknownst to her that she did not know. And so she said, "You drank from that water fountain down in the basement?" And I said, "Yes." She said, "We've been complaining to the district and to Airmont about this water fountain, for years." And so I said, "What do you mean?" And so she have this email that she sent to the district and to the principal of Abbott School. And she stated, and I just read you part of what it states.
Okay.
She said, "Hi, Walt. I'm making a complaint that under the condition of the extreme heat and humidity in the cafeteria and kitchen, there is no water for staff and students to drink. Since the beginning of the school, I have ordered drinking water to no avail." And so, of course, she was ignored. And so she asked the question. She said, "On a daily basis, the students are asking for water and being told that we do not have any. why is there not any water supply? And one of his response to her that came back was that, oh, the Breakfast in the Classroom is a great program. The people loved it or whatever, but he never addressed the issue about the drinking water. So he just simply downplayed it.
I want to emphasize this, though. I'm hearing you correctly, and maybe our listening audience are asking the same question. No drinking water in the school? Or is it
in the basement
in the
area
basement there?
of
Where the cafeteria.
of where the cafeteria is located at?
Okay, so they have cafeteria eating there, but no water, no drinking water.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
And so after many attempts of trying to find answers to why this water fountain is so rancid in taste, I and myself, we decided to get in contact with the health department, Lake County Health Department. And so they was just dragging, and still today we still have not really got a clear answer.
And to the board.
And to the board, we mentioned it to the board. So finally, we wrote to the Department of Public Health Division of Environmental Health, a plumbing, Illinois State plumbing inspector.
Okay.
And so on our complaint, they went out and discovered that it was 4 water fountains in the school that were affected by different various code, like connected to the next to the boiler room, where the pipes get hot, and the unsanitary condition also, like the mouthpiece, the orifices of the fountain where you drink, it was rusted, and paint chips, metal flake. I have a photograph here, of course, like the audience cannot see them, but as you can see that the mouthpiece are rusted, and there's paint chips that is chipping off into the orifices, into the sprout.
Okay, for our listening audience information, there are diagrams here, exhibits here that are shown by Mr. Kindle about the topic that he's talking about. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, sir. And one of the Illinois Administrative Code.
Now, again, these occurred in the New Sun, right?
Yes, only the photo of where the liquid hazard at in the district to replace the water fountains.
Okay.
And if I may bring up another point about when the district come in to place the water fountain, also in the district there is no, well, we have not seen at Abbott School or either at the headquarters, the administrative, there is not handicap accessible drinking water for ADA for a person with disability. So hopefully, if the community and the board would do their job when they come in to replace the fountain, they will replace it with up-to-date fountain that everyone may be able to drink safe, clean water.
Now, when you mentioned that to the district, what happened?
It fell on deaf ears.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir.
They didn't say we'll set a committee to go out and take a look or anything.
They did state that they had someone to come out and test the water.
Okay.
Their testing said that there were no lead in the water.
Oh, okay.
Doing research, it shows that it's impossible not to have a trace of lead in the water. So the Illinois State Plumbers was called. Edward had them to go out. They found many violations with the water fountain and lead in the school piping. Now, mind you, 2 years prior to this, it was brought to the district, the school board attention, and they did nothing about it.
Wow.
We really must get a new school board. There's been a big problem with them just being lax on getting things done, denying it, saying that they've been repaired. Things have been repaired when they wasn't. I made many complaints to the board, to the district, to Airmart Food Service, only to have the finger pointed that I was the cause of why these things were happening. When outside agencies were called in, they substantiate all of the claim of all of the reports. Um, Earmark is nationwide, and there's been complaint nationwide of the same thing: poor quality food, rotten food. Recently, last few months, Chicago schools had boycott. It was all over the news and the newspaper. They boycotted Earmark due to the same things that I had been reporting for years. Rotten food, poor quality food, not the correct portions, so forth. That was reported to the district, to the board, and they allowed Earmark to do. We did get a petition going of over 200 concerned parents, not only parents, but students and relatives, that they were not satisfied with the food that the children were eating. Many of them stated that they had called the schools, principals, and to the district administrators complaining, to no avail.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, we're talking with Mr. Edward Kindle, community naturalist, and his wife, Ann Kindle. She's a retired District 60 employee. And they're responding to what any, citizen taxpayer would do when they see violations in the school. And they have verification that these to their complaints, but it appeared that nothing was followed through by the school district. And Mr. Kindle, you mentioned the Illinois State Plumbing Law kind of verified what you complained about, right?
Yes, yes. And touch back on the subject about the neglected grease trap, and also what they found out when they came out and investigated that the grease trap did not have indirect waste for it to go into the sewer system. So, in other words, my understanding and how he explained it, does like the bathrooms in the school, the waste, when it was flushed, it would come down through the kitchen and travel its way out. And with this here neglected grease trap, this is what the report say. It said the waste piping that served the 3-compartment sink does not have proper direct waste. The grease and scepter that served the 3-compartment sink is not trapped and vented properly. And so therefore, if it's not being trapped and vented properly, it's coming back into the kitchen where food is being prepared and cooked. And this is something that the health department say, that these fumes and gases and odor can become airborne.
Okay.
And so therefore it can contaminate everything in the kitchen, the dishes, the food. And as you can see, I have depicting an example here of where they are washing fruit, apples, in the kitchen. And it's next to the grease trap. So these apples are just sitting there, and this odor and this gas are just collecting on everything. And so,
well, what about OSHA? Did OSHA investigate?
Yes, sir. At this time, it's still an ongoing investigation.
Okay. Yeah. It really is alarming, that you have the evidence, and I would appreciate your concerns, and because this is this is very serious, with the employees and the students, that no response have been. Well, there was a response, I guess, but it was they didn't follow through.
That's correct. Yes.
And so your concerns were reported to the administration and also the school board, and it fell on deaf ears, or what?
Yes, because they never acknowledged and said, well, Mr. Kindle, we would look at it. And at times they tried to say that it was unfounded, that we just had a vivid imagination as to what we were saying, that we was exaggerating. But when we asked them to come out with us to view these here, they
What
they
I
would
was
not.
really concerned, though, in reading the newspaper article, this is weekend paper, Saturday, Sunday, April 2nd, 3rd, district to recoup $20,000 in legal fees. Suit dismiss, plaintiff's order to pay legal costs. How could that happen? How? And what happened is that I guess the judge said this was a frivolous complaint.
Yes, that's what
With evidence that you had, they say frivolous.
they
Why
said.
would they call they back it? Why did they say frivolous?
As you were reading in the article, it say who would believe that there were chains on the doors, and how could Mr. Kindle become poisoned by drinking from a water fountain? And as you can see with the exhibits and with the Illinois inspector's plumbing report, that is how one became ill and sick. But if I may just emphasize again on one other point that deal with the Illinois plumbing law. It says
Okay.
225 ILCS 320/1.
Okay.
And the General Assembly therefore declared that individual who plans, inspect, install, alter, extend, repair, maintain plumbing system must be an individual of proven skill.
Okay.
And so I will go back to the report of the inspector report, the environmental health inspector report. On page 2, it's asked the question, firm or person responsible for plumbing, unknown. So who installed these pipes? Who installed this here waste system? It is unknown. So here we talk about 9/11 just passing about terror in the school. So who are you allowing to come into the school unknowing to make these type of repairs and install this type of equipment in our community, in our school, without you knowing who?
Mr. Kindle, did you have an attorney, or were you your own attorney in this case?
We tried seeking an attorney, several of them, but
You were your own attorney.
yes. So basically, I was my own attorney.
Because you had the facts there yourself, so and that were presented. And
Well, sometimes they held court when I was not even there, did not receive notice. So when the judge had made his finding that it was frivolous, they had secret courts that I did not receive any notice to be there and appear. So they came up with this here while I wasn't present in
yeah,
court.
because you didn't have attorney, you had an attorney. Attorney would have been responsible
Yes.
for that.
Yes.
But your main concern for going to court
Court.
was not to seek
Seek it.
anything but the
seek-
safety and the health of the community and the students.
Yes.
It shouldn't have turned out the way that it did.
Yes. That was our goal, to go into the court, to have the court to be able to look at what we wanted to present, what was going on
And ask them
into the community.
And as
ask
a
them-
result, then the school district filed a suit against you to recoup their legal fees.
Yes, sir. So, yes, and that's the only thing we was asking for from the beginning, was to have the violation corrected. And we thought that we was doing the right thing, that the board and the people in charge did not know what was happening. So we thought we were bringing
Awareness to the community.
right.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. This is unbelievable, I tell you. Ladies and gentlemen, again, we're allowing the couple, Edward Kindle and his wife Ann, to express these concerns that any citizen would express if they find problems, especially like in Flint, Michigan, where the children were involved, and probably the health was at stake, and we didn't realize that would be right here in Waukegan.
That's true.
And other cities too, probably. I think I saw some information in Chicago too, where Chicago is having difficulty. And
as
Okay.
close, I believe, as Lake Forest. And what Lake Forest is doing when they're with their problem, they are supplying their students with drinking water. They're using water to cook, brought in water or bought water to help prepare the meals. But here in District 60, our children go without water and
using tainted water to cook with.
and using the tainted water to cook with.
So south of us, in the school district, they have the resources to ensure that this doesn't happen, that the children don't drink tainted water and lead water. And I had mentioned before that I say resources. They have a real estate value. They're about $2 billion. Where they have whereas north of them, especially like in North Chicago, I know the real estate value is only about $200 million. That's the difference between $200 million and two. So actually, there's not, the resources are not available here in North Chicago, Waukegan, or Zion, compared to, you mentioned Lake Forest and
Yes.
and south of us there.
Again,
But you're talking about lives now,
yes, sir.
Okay.
And then again, as I stated before, that I'm a naturalist. And as you mentioned about resources, yes, they have the resources. They have the people also. People are a resource. If the information that was given to the district and more people were being involved as what other communities are involved, that is a resource. I don't place resource on money amount. I place resource on people amount, perhaps, if you were saying getting involved.
Okay.
In addition, accordingly to some of the salaries, outrageous salaries that the administrators receive, some of that could have possibly helped repair some of these things, put in no resources. What are they going to do now? Okay, you got issues, and what resources are they using to correct the problem now? If they didn't have it then that means that they don't have it now. How are they going to correct this? All in the newspaper is showing that these schools in Waukegan, many of them, they've named them, is having problems with the old faucet water fountains and so forth. So what are they going to do about it now?
Okay. Well, that's a great question. Mr. Kimball, your recommendations about what they're going to do now? Have the school board expressed any interest in correcting the situation? Are they denying the situation, or are they expressing interest on correcting the situation?
I would say they have been denying the situation.
Now, even though you mentioned OSHA is investigating.
Yes, sir. Well, not only about the water, but also there was a problem with asbestos that was inside of the school that OSHA is that was reported with asbestos in the school. And as you can see, some of the panels in the kitchen area where they had been deteriorated, and that is due from leaking ceiling. And
Oh,
and so also when I reported to the Illinois State and Plumber about the ceiling having mold in it, they looked in that too also. And what they stated in the violation say the original complaint state that the code violation exists. And through the inspection conducted by this inspector, it was determined that the mold growth and leaking on the ceiling tile is a result of a roof leak near the main support beam on the second floor. So,
now you mentioned money as a resource. I brought that up, but millions of dollars are spent in remodeling schools,
yes,
but nothing is done about the safety of the kids and the drinking water.
That's correct.
yes, that's correct. And also, again, that you mentioned about resource. So, what is the excuse that for the fountain not to be handicap accessible? My understanding is that the government provide funds for schools and public places to make them handicap accessible for individuals with.
Just special funds set aside.
Yes, yes, sir.
For,
You brought that to their attention.
yes, and that was brought to their attention. So why is there, these?
Mr. and Mrs. Kindle, I have to admire you for bringing this to the attention of Lake County. It has been brought by through the newspapers, but you're really concerned, and you mentioned that you have petitioned others to come forward, to the board to express these concerns,
Yes.
Yes.
and they still haven't taken action.
Some people stepped out and brought issues to the board of what was going on inside the school. Like myself, they've been harassed, different things. So the majority, afraid of losing their job and afraid of the repercussions for it coming forward, they didn't.
You spoke about being harassed by coming forward.
Yes.
Well, you go ahead, Mr. Kendall.
And some that did come forward that complained about the odor in the school and becoming ill and sick, they no longer work there.
Mrs. Kendall, you had mentioned you have been in a district 30 years.
30 years.
And you have been not there because of poor job performance. All of a sudden, since you brought this issue up, someone decided that you're no longer needed in the district because of poor performance after 30 years.
After 30 years, that's correct.
So that sounds like, to you, that sounds like greater than harassment. That's the loss of job.
That's correct. Although I was there 30 years, there was still more years that I had intended to dedicate to the district. I've always been a loyal employee. My best interest was for the district to ensure and to inform them of violations that was going on.
And also for the safety for yourself and the students.
Yes.
So thank you very much, Mr. and Mrs. Kendall. Maybe we should do a part 2, 3, or 4 on this subject.
Perhaps.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Community Focus. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks Sr., your host.